The following program is brought to you by Arlington Community Media, where we tell your story. Up next, an interview with Arlington's Deputy Town Manager Jim Feeney, who had a job interview with the Select Board regarding a new town manager position. How was the interview? Mr. Feeney gives us the latest. Arlington now has a new animal control officer. We caught up with Courtney Wilson and her new wheels at Spy Pond this week. And happy birthday to us. The newscast here at ACMi is a sprite young 10 years old this month. Hard to believe. We reminisce with some of the dedicated folks who made it all happen. ACMi News is next.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered, giving you stories that count from people who care. Reliable, trustworthy, dependable. This is the nationwide award-winning ACMi News.
The Select Board holds a public interview for a new town manager position, and it's a familiar name. Hi, I'm Eliseo Vigil.
And I'm Karen Sui. Thanks for joining us. The interview for Jim Feeney was held Monday, March 27th.
Feeney, of course, is Arlington's current Deputy Town Manager for Operations. The board voted 5-0 to move ahead with the process of considering Feeney for the town manager position.
Town leaders say an executive session to enter contract negotiations is now set for Monday, April 3rd.
I've been in that room probably 1,000 times, but that was the only time I've been in there and actually sweating. I was appreciative of the opportunity and appreciative, I think the Select Board asked some really thoughtful questions. I think I was probably really well prepared for a lot of the standard slate of questions you could expect in going for that position, but they sort of did their best to tailor their own specific questions and about topics that were of interest to them, but happy it's over. I've worked here for over 13 years now, and, I'm very grateful to be working with Sandy now, but I've seen this organization from multiple levels and multiple angles, and it is all, it's large, it's complex, and it's all interconnected, so I think that I have a really good understanding of how things work here and, would be able to continue moving things forward if everything works out. We have a little bit of time, but, I think, if we're able to come to terms on a contract and everything works out, that it would probably be sometime in the June-July timeframe.
Feeney has had his hands full lately with scores of duties at Town Hall, namely tackling the significant damage to the Town Hall structure, which includes major water damage to the ceiling of the historic Lions hearing room.
Feeney's candidacy was made public after 3 former finalists to succeed Sandy Poulter as town manager withdrew with no public explanation provided.
So where do things stand now at Town Hall after the Town Hall leak story was leaked earlier this year? Feeney is leading the charge in repairing and restoring Town Hall to its former splendor.
It's going to take some time, but hopefully some much-needed repairs will begin before the winter months set in.
Things are rapidly deteriorating. We're fortunate that fairly recently the Community Preservation Act Committee did vote approval for our grant application, which if ratified by town meeting this spring will allow us to move forward with a project starting this summer after July 1 when the funds are available to finish documenting the tower and proceed with its removal, at which point we'd sort of build a roof over the existing opening. And that is intended on preventing further damage. As you can see, it's sort of spreading throughout the room and starting to hit portions of the building that will be very difficult to replace. And essentially it buys the community time to have a larger conversation about the future of this building and the fact that it needs a pretty significant level of investment after over 100 years in service.
And when you think about it, this could be overwhelming, so you're doing it obviously in phases. The tower is the main concern. You have that tarped off, but you don't want to go through another winter with a tower that is in that shape.
That is correct. So what we're doing this spring is trying to work within our existing capital budget and some funds we have available for Town Hall to get a designer, get an architect and engineer on board to help us prepare the design plans and specifications that we'll need to hit the ground running when we receive construction funding in July.
And of course, ACMi News will have updates on the Town Hall restoration effort as events warrant.
Arlington now has a new animal control officer. Her name is Courtney Wilson. ACMi News caught up with Ms. Wilson on her first day of work as she was given a quick tour of Arlington. One of her major stops on day one was at Spy Pond, one of Arlington's treasures teeming with wildlife. Courtney comes from the Lowell PD, where she was an animal control officer for 3 years. She's a graduate of the Massachusetts Animal Control Academy and is certified in PAT CPR and first aid. She's also trained to handle cases involving animal cruelty, dangerous dogs, reptiles, and disaster relief management for domestic animals. And Courtney has a new set of wheels. The Arlington PD recently received a new, fully equipped animal control and rescue vehicle. A recent rash of hateful graffiti cases has been a chief concern in Arlington lately. Police say graffiti was found in at least 2 Arlington public schools in March, the high school and Audison Middle School. And now, late last week, police arrested a man in connection with hate graffiti at a blue bike station on Linwood Street at Spy Pond. It happened here on Wednesday, March 22nd in the late morning hours. According to Police Chief Julie Flaherty, an Arlington police officer was patrolling the area near this blue bike station, which had been vandalized with homophobic graffitis several times over the past month. While in the area, according to police, the officer observed a vehicle parked next to the station and a man later identified as Albert Silva standing near his car. Police say the officer then approached Silva, then according to police, the man got back into the car and drove off. The officer noticed graffiti written in a red marker on the blue bike station, and that's when they followed the driver, who turned into an apartment complex not too far from here. As part of this investigation, officers went back to the scene and found even more graffiti on 2 pillars and a sign here at the station. Police later spoke to Silva and discovered he was the individual who had reportedly written on this blue bike station. He was arrested without incident and transported to the Arlington police station for booking. Silva's been charged with destruction of property and open and gross lewdness, among other things. A status hearing is set for sometime this week.
Police are asking for your help finding a missing 56-year-old Arlington man. Edward Lydon was last seen the morning of March 20th. Police say he may be wearing jeans, sneakers, and a light blue jacket, and he's known to frequent the Somerville area. Police have released photos of Lydon on their website and Twitter account. Edward Lydon is legally blind, roughly 5'7" in height, with black and white hair and blue eyes. Arlington police are asking anyone who has seen Lydon or has information about where he may be to call them at 781-643-1212. Again, that number is 781-643-1212. Arlington's town election is set for April 1st, and in recent weeks, ACMi News has been profiling the challengers and incumbents in the races for Board of Assessors, Select Board, School Committee, and Town Clerk. Tonight, we feature Paul Schlickman for School Committee. Schlickman is running for re-election for Arlington School Committee for another 3-year term. He has served on the committee from 2012 to the present, and before that from 2001 to 2007. He tells ACMi News why he is seeking another term at a critical time for Arlington schools.
Well, it's been a tough 3 years. I mean, I was last re-elected in the middle of the pandemic. We postponed the election because it was originally scheduled for April and everything was locked down. And it's been a challenging 3 years. We have hired a superintendent, reopened schools, and we're moving forward with a high school project, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I'm energized by what we're doing right now. I think we're on a good track, and I want to keep on going.
The school system in Arlington, as you just stated, is going through a huge transitional period. Do you think this is a good time for you to be seeking re-election for the committee?
I think having some consistency is important. Bill Hayner's getting off, so we're going to have at least one new member. I think that being the veteran member on the committee, that I offer some history, some experience, and also having been a central office admin, I have experience relevant to the day-to-day operations of the school that's helpful when we discuss our policies.
And you've been a member of the school committee from 2001 to 2007, and then you got back at 2012 to the present, correct? So that's a lot of experience.
Right. The encore is longer than the original act. I got on when Joe Curro moved up to the Board of Selectmen, and have stayed on ever since. It's been fun. It's an honor to go and work with these folks on a day-to-day basis. I like my colleagues. We get along well. We do good work, and why mess with the team?
What would you like to tell the voters of Arlington come April the 1st?
I'd like to tell them thank you for re-electing me. That would be the greatest measure. But we've got work to do. We've got to finish the rest of the high school project, which is another 2 years out. We've got a strategic plan we're about to adopt, and the town is always going to have budget challenges, not because we don't have the ability to pay, but we have a ceiling on our levy limit based on Prop 2.5, which works at an extreme disadvantage to built-up communities, because the escape from 2.5 is new growth, and we just don't have room for it in Arlington.
And of course, ACMi News will have the latest election results from this year's tally in our newscast. You could also go to the town's website for election results, arlingtonma.gov/election.
The town of Arlington staged another public open house for the Mass Ave Appleton Safety and Accessibility Corridor project in mid-March. This after several rounds of public input in recent months. Town leaders wanted information on factors like designs and safety for everyone in this complex Mass Ave corridor between Quinn Road and Richardson Avenue. Town manager Sandy Pooler says this public forum was very productive, as plans for this high-traffic area are nearly complete.
We had, I think, a very productive public meeting last night. We heard from a lot of people, and I think we are now in a position to make some modifications to the initial proposals that we made to the select board. And we look forward to then going back to the select board soon to present a final plan so that we can then move forward. Once we get an agreed upon plan, the good news for this project is that the state is going to pay for it. So we are moving forward, and all this stuff, the information is on the town website, on the planning department page, under the app. If you search for Appleton, you'll find it. But I'm pleased about the progress we're making.
If you want more information on planning and designs for the Mass Ave Appleton corridor, just go to the town website, arlingtonma.gov/planning. Again, that's arlingtonma.gov/planning. Would you believe that in this very studio, the TV newscast for Arlington was born?
Yep, on April 17th, 2013, this newscast hit the airwaves. In the past decade, many things about this newscast have changed, and many have not.
ACMi News Director Jeff Barn takes a look back at what has become your townwide weekly newscast.
Hello and welcome to this first edition of Arlington Public News. I'm Paul Werlin.
And I'm Michelle Spalletta. Today we will bring you a summary of the latest happenings in Arlington.
My gosh, where did the time go? ACMi's newscast is celebrating its 10th birthday on the air townwide, and there have been many changes through the years. Our very first newscast debuted April of 2013 with anchors Paul Werlin and Michelle Spalletta. The very first story, Patriots Day. What else?
The parade ran along Mass Ave and featured a full showing of local favorites, including the Shriners, clowns, and bands. The town of Arlington was originally settled in 1635.
It just wouldn't have happened without a team. And so what we did was really team effort all the way. And every single person that was part of that team brought something special to it, a special gift, and it couldn't have happened without them. So I think of myself as the coach. That's it. I was the coach,
I came to ACMi after 23 years as a teacher, partly because I was interested in Arlington but didn't know very much about it, and thought of ACMi as a place that I could spend some time once I had some time. Doing so and getting connected with Sarah and the news in the first week that I volunteered here was a huge thing, because as I said, I wanted to get to know this community I had been living in without knowing it all that well. It was a nice place to bike away from in the morning, bike back to in the evening, and that's about what I knew for a long time. No better way for me to get a great crash course introduction to the community than through the news. And especially in those early days when everything was possible and they were just looking for somebody just like me, a volunteer from the community with some time who could actually, start to do stories or come up with ideas for stories, etc. Because we were kind of making it up as we went along. Sarah had not been a news director before. We hadn't had a news program before. So we were just trying to make sure we did things right. But in the process, we were discovering new things about ourselves as a team and certainly about the town.
How important is it to have a community television station like ACMi here with a population who really is very engaged in current affairs and also town affairs?
It's critical. It's critical because if you look at the Boston Globe, Arlington who? Arlington where? And the community, each person in the community, most folks, because we're such a small town, we are experts, in what happens in their street over and things like that. And one of the things that makes Arlington so special is that people really, really care about their neighbors, about their neighborhood, about the community.
Ain't that the truth? Now, 10 years ago, the newscast here was known as APN, Arlington Public News, and in 2019 we changed the name and rebranded ourselves and called it ACMi News. Now, the name may have changed, but the commitment to telling your story certainly has not, and ACMi News exists only because of a great foundation that was built by a very committed and dedicated staff of people 10 years ago. And it will continue telling your story in the next 10 years and the next 10 years. You get the point. Reporting for ACMi News, which used to be Arlington Public News, which currently is ACMi News, I'm confused. Back to you in the studio at ACMi.
In the next few weeks, have more on this ACMi milestone.
We'll take a stroll down memory media lane and reflect on the past decade here at ACMi News. Are you ready for a little night train? How about sketches of Spain? Well, the sounds of cool, smooth jazz are once again making their way to Arlington. The 12th annual Arlington Jazz Festival will be back in town from March 30th to April 2nd. Here are some of the acts from previous Jazz Fests. This year's lineup includes a jazz vocal showcase featuring vocalist Debbie Larkin, a guitar showcase with a John Wheatley-Cheryl Bailey duo, and performances from many exciting bands. The headlining concert is the John Patitucci Trio. You could catch them at the Regent Theater on the last day of the festival. Each concert will take place at venues throughout Arlington, including Arlington Center for the Arts, Monotony Grill and Tavern, and the Arlington Community Center. For more information, just go to arlingtonjazz.org. Again, that's arlingtonjazz.org.
Here at ACMi, we air a series known as Studio Sessions. We invite area artists to stop by Studio A and play some of their original music. One such artist has seen his career taking off, and we invited Kai Wilson of Medford to take to the stool and show us what he can do with the sixth string.
I'm a ship in a bottle, rocking with the waves. There's no hope for the bottom. Get me out this place. I'm on my own, fighting off the shakes, or still crash on these rocks till the bottle breaks, till the bottle.
My name's Kai Wilson. The way I progressed in my music career was definitely kind of a reflection of taking the opportunity and the chance and the risk to move out to Colorado, right? Like moving across the country by myself into a very rural area of the lower 48. You really kind of had to take opportunities and take chances and learn to kind of create your own reality out there, right? So with music, it progressed slowly because I was just always saying yes to shows. I was always saying yes to hanging out with people who were playing music. I was always saying yes to recording sessions, even if I was just terrible at it and had no idea what studio etiquette was or anything. So I'd say the guess the major turning point for me was just always taking opportunities and never saying no, right? Doing it because I love it and using any avenue I can to participate.
Sound me in love with the idea of you. Okay.
He's excellent. If you are an artist or know someone who is, we'd like to hear from you. Give us a call at 781-777-1115. Again, call us here at ACMi at 781-777-1115.
He's played George Washington in the Geico TV commercials. He's Colonel Harlan Sanders in those KFC TV ads. He's also a TV and movie actor and world-renowned impersonator. He's Jim Meskimen, and he's starring on a new comedy on Apple TV called The Big Door Prize. ACMi News had fun with talented and versatile actor last week when we caught up with Jim Meskimen in this latest venture.
You know what I got? Superstar.
Well, I got dancer.
Male model. Make it stop. What's going on? Why is everybody trying to change their lives overnight?
We're getting a divorce.
The Morpho inspired us.
Yeah, I just got back from working in Atlanta. I've been going back and forth there for a little while. I'm actually on a show called The Big Door Prize, which is going to actually launch on the 29th of March on Apple TV. And The Big Door Prize is a comedy. It's a very kind of fantastical sort of dry comedy starring the very wonderful Irish actor Chris O'Dowd, who probably your viewers or listeners will know from a little show called Bridesmaids, and also his own show, The IT Crowd from England, which was very, very funny. Anyway, I play his father, which is a great honor and a lot of fun. And so I've been working on my Chris O'Dowd impression quite a bit.
Good morning. Hello. Nice school there, birthday boy. That's short, that's funny, and also makes me feel bad.
Love you, Dad.
And I've seen a few episodes, and I think it's really, really funny and charming.
Yeah, is it a challenging part for you to play in the father's role, especially in a very creative show? Coming, may I say, from the creative people who brought us in the past, Schitt's Creek, which was a great show, and it's also a lot of fun to pronounce on television.
Yeah, that really busts the barriers down. I wonder why we didn't think of that before.
No, I have no idea.
The PHUCK family, and nobody ever mentioned it. It is a challenge, and in a wonderful way, because part of my, I don't want to go into too much detail, but part of my character, his evolution, and it's a show about people kind of redefining their own destiny based on this high-tech machine, this kind of fortune-telling machine that lands in the hometown of these characters, and kind of out of the blue.
It's not always been there. That thing will tell you your life's potential.
Where'd you get it?
No idea. It just appeared like magic.
So I like playing people that are different from me, and I if it's drama, great. If it's comedy, I do love comedy.
I know you must get this all the time, but like you're also Christopher Walken.
That's true. I mean, I can be if you need Christopher Walken. That's the point. Is like, when do you need it? If you do, I'm your man. I'll tell you who else I used to do a lot for that Tonight Show was that George W. Bush. He was the used-to-was president. And I tell you who I enjoy doing very much is Sir Patrick Stewart. Sir Pat is one of the most marvelous characters, and you always feel a little more sophisticated, don't you, when you act like Sir Pat, and friendly. Even though you're probably going to fire a laser at a meteorite or an enemy ship at any second, you still feel very, very, very social.
And Tommy Lee Jones. I found out you do Tommy Lee Jones through TikTok.
That's right, Tommy Lee Jones, who's kind of the opposite of Sir Pat in terms of conviviality. He's sort of taciturn, doesn't say too much, gets it out as quickly as he can. I do admire him, though. He's a fantastic actor. Are we done?
The Big Door Prize began streaming on Wednesday, March 29th. Check it out on Apple TV. And we thank Tommy Lee Jones, Jim Meskimen, for his time.
Here at ACMi, we have a very robust internship program where interns from all over can get hands-on experience either in front of or behind the camera. David Bellet-Jercourt comes to us from Tufts University, and he has a friend from Tufts who is also interning here. Her name is Ava Solo. What's funny is David and Ava had no idea they applied for the same internship here in the same semester. How coincidental is that? Here now is David Boulanger-Court.
Hi, it's David, the new intern. Is anyone here? Ava, what are you doing here?
David? I'm interning at ACMi. What are you doing here?
Well, it was last September and the Tufts Career Fair was coming up. I was looking at the organizations that would be in attendance, and then suddenly something caught my eye. A little media production organization called ACMi. I didn't have any experience in media production, but I love trying out new things, and it seemed like a super interesting opportunity. When I got to the career fair, I found myself face-to-face with Jeff, JB, and James. They told me all about the ACMi internship, and it sounded like a really great program where I'd be able to try out all kinds of roles and get great hands-on experience. I was sold, and that's why I'm here now.
Can you believe that we're both here, and we're both seniors at Tufts University, and we're both from New York City? To really test how well you know me, I'm going to tell you 2 truths and 1 lie. You have to tell me which one is which.
Game on.
1. I studied abroad in Madrid last spring. 2. I play the violin. 3. I went to the Youth Olympics for gymnastics.
David, I literally saw you play violin when we were abroad together in Madrid. Of course I know what the lie is.
Wow. I guess you really do know me well. Well, I'm so excited to intern with you at ACMi this semester. It's going to be a great time.
Are you interested in becoming an intern or know someone who is? Just call ACMi's James Milan at 781-777-1115. Again, call James Milan at 781-777-1115.
And now we're done. That'll do it for us here at ACMi News. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Eliseo Vigil.
And I'm Karen Soy. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.